Hey guys, it's Rocky Logue, and I'm back with part 2 of the parent or at home tutorial of Google Classroom. This time I am going to go over more of assignments and requirements for assignments, how to add things to your assignments, how to turn them in, and those types of things. Just a little bit more in depth with assignments. If you missed part 1, it's okay if you watch part 2 first and then watch part 1 second. Doesn't really matter, but it might help to watch part 1 first and then watch part 2. All right, let's get into assignments. All right, let's jump right into assignments in Google Classroom and give you a walkthrough and how they work and how to add things to assignments and how to turn them in and what they look like after they're graded. First of all, let's jump over to the Classwork page. This is a great place to start for your assignments because this is where they all live. The other good thing about this is hopefully they are organized into topics. Again, remember, Google Classroom is a document management system. It's really there so teachers and students can share work with each other easily. Now, let's go down the different types of assignments. First of all, let's look at material assignments. These are not really assignments. They're more posts from teachers, things that teachers might want you to reference or to use or things like that. But they don't have due dates. If you notice, there's no due date, it's just a posted date. And this is a preview. Let's look at the actual material. It's just a document to look at. So this, if this were my actual syllabus, this would be something I would leave maybe at the top of my Classwork feed so students could reference that syllabus throughout the semester. Or I usually do a syllabus, maybe a welcome video, a welcome letter, and a link to my classroom website. Let's look at a different type of assignment, and this is what you're going to see the most. This is a general type of assignment. When you click on it, you get a preview. It says the date that it's posted, if the teacher edited it, when they edited it. It also gives the due date. This is nice to know, especially if you got kids like mine that like to procrastinate. I can go back and say, hey, this was assigned a week ago. How come we're working on it the night before it's due? So it'll give you the date it's posted, the date it's due, a brief overview of what's happening here. Let's go in and view the assignment. In this case, I have added a rubric. A rubric is a type of grading system where there's different criteria to get different scores. They would be much more in depth than what I did here. I just did this for sake of time. And so this is how this gives you an idea of what the teacher is looking for in order for you to score on your paper to write. So in this case, we're writing a paper, write a 5-paragraph essay that describes your favorite teacher. Now, on this assignment, I have attached a document here already for your students. I think a lot of teachers do that. Not all teachers, obviously. I do that for ease. I have 7th grade students mainly, and it's just much easier if I create a document for them and it's formatted for them. They can already edit it. I also have permission to edit it, so we can comment back and forth. We have a little dialogue. I can help them as they go. So it's really easy if I create the document for them first because it shares it with them and it also shares it with me. But I don't always create a document. Sometimes I expect the kids to attach their finished work, and that's a pretty easy thing to do. So in order to add or create a document, you just click on the add or create. You can add virtually anything. I can add anything from my Google Drive. I just click on my Google Drive. And I can add video, I could add images, I could add slideshows, I could add documents. There's all sorts of things that I can add. I just click on it and I add it. And it's there. Again, that could have been a picture. It could have been an image. It could have been a video, anything like that. I can add a link to a website or a link to my work. I can add a file from my computer. So I click on that and I go to upload and I browse. Click on again. I can add images or video, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to click open and it's going to add it right away. And it doesn't matter. It says it's a Word document. Doesn't matter. Google Docs will open it up in Google Docs. The last thing I can do here is I can create documents in here. I always suggest for my students, if I haven't added a template for them, if I haven't added a document, I suggest that they create whatever the teacher's asking, whether it's a slideshow or whether it's a drawing or a Google Sheet or Google Slides. I suggest they create it right in the assignment. And the reason why is because when they create it here, it automatically shares it with me. So all the things I talked about before, being able to edit the student's document, leave comments, work with them as they're working is done already. If they create it in their drive, then they have to remember to add it to the assignment in order for me to leave all that feedback, which is just one more step. And sometimes that's a huge step and sometimes it's not, but for some people it is a huge step. The next thing that we see here is your turn in. I'm not going to turn this in yet. I want to talk about a couple other things and I'll talk about turn in. You got private comments. The private comments are great. So if a student needs help and they don't want to see the rest of the class that they need help, or they don't want they don't want the rest of the class to see their comment, they can add a private comment. That goes directly to the teacher and the teacher can respond and the response is also private. There are class comments and class comments are nice because I've had times where students will answer their own questions, especially in distance learning. But even in, in real life learning, I guess, or in the classroom learning, it still helps because sometimes students are working on stuff later than at school or at different times, and I'm not readily available for them. I've seen students add comments asking about things on the assignment, and then other students helping that student out and getting the questions answered. So that's class comments are really nice. And the teacher does have control over those. They can turn those off and on for students. They can mute certain students if they're messing around. So teachers do have control of that. I find that more good happens from those class comments than messing around. So I leave them on and just moderate them. And again, sometimes the kids answer their own questions. When I'm done with an assignment, I press turn in. Sometimes it says mark is done, and sometimes it says press turn in, but it's the same thing. When you press turn in, though, one bit of warning. When your student presses turn in, it takes away their editing rights to that document. That just means they can't do anything to it anymore. It's kind of nice on the teacher end because then I can see what they did up to a certain date and they can't change anything. If a student makes a mistake and turns it in too early and, oh, wait, it was due tomorrow and I turned it in too early, I need to add some things, not a big deal. They can simply unsubmit. And then they can keep working on it. It does inform the teacher that it was submitted, unsubmitted, and then resubmitted. You'll be able to edit the document once you unsubmit it. All right, and that's your first general type of assignment. Not all assignments before I get out of here will have a rubric. This one, I just added a rubric just to show you. We have a different type of assignment here. This is a quiz assignment. It looks the same as the rest of them, has a little clipboard. The only difference is, well, let me show you. Let's view the assignment. You notice this one says mark is done because in this, I'm just taking the quiz and I'm going to show you what that looks like when we're finished. I can still add or create things here. I can still add private comments. There's still class comments. I'm going to open this quiz up. I'm going to answer, hit submit. I can view my score. I didn't give this a total point, so I got 0 out of 0, even though that's the correct answer. It will show at some point in here, I can mark this as done. Nope, it did it automatically. Once you finish that quiz, it says that it's marked as done, so the teacher will know that that's finished. So that's your second type. So we've seen your material assignments, your kind of what I would call just regular types of assignments, quiz assignments, and the last one is questions. So your teacher might use these question assignments for all sorts of things. I use them a lot of times for responses. Sometimes I grade them. Sometimes I don't grade them. Sometimes I use these questions to promote conversations. Sometimes I use it as a check for understanding at the end of something. I just, write me a quick answer of what you did, an exit ticket type of thing at the end of a lesson. You could also use these as a survey as well. Teachers have the ability to make these answers readable by the entire class or just private answers. And so this is your last time of assignment. Again, everything kind of looks the same here, except I have to start typing in order to turn it in. And then it gives me that turn in button. And then I'm done. That's really your walk around the assignments. I want to show you now what it looks like when assignment is returned and is graded. So let's look at this one. What was your favorite summer memory? If you notice here, it says now that it's graded as opposed to the other ones that this one says it's assigned. This one says it's graded because it's been graded by the teacher and it's been returned. So let's see what the score is on this. In order to see your score, you press view assignment. And it's kind of small. I wish they made this a little bit more prominent somewhere, but you get your score right up here. The point value would have been here before the score was there, but now it's got the point value. I did almost 100%. I got 99 out of 100. So it will give you your score right there at the top when the teacher returns it. I do want to talk a little bit about grades in Google Classroom. Google Classroom has a grade book with it, but the majority of districts, like Lucia Mar district, they don't use the grade book in Google Classroom to generate your report cards and things like that. They use a learning management system like Aries in our case, HomeLink, Aries. Some districts use PowerSchool and things like that, where the kids' actual grades are housed. That's where transcripts are. That's where the report cards come from. That's where attendance is taken, where all of those things are housed. So even though your teacher may have a grade book up, in Google Classroom, I would just make sure and ask them, clarify, is the Google Classroom gradebook the same as the Aries gradebook? In my case, I turn the gradebook off, even though I leave the grades on. So I don't give access to the gradebook because my gradebook would look different than the Aries gradebook because of a whole number of things. Because of group work, because of weighting of grades, because not everything in Google Classroom gets graded. So to make it less confusing, I just refer all of my students and teachers to HomeLink to see their grades on Aries, even though I do grade. They do get a grade in Google Classroom, but the actual grade that you're looking for your students, in my case, well, in all cases will be in Aries. So make sure that's where you actually check the final grades for everything. All right, I hope that helps. One last thing before I go. If you're confused by any of this, or if your teacher's Google Classroom looks different than mine, which most likely it will, the best thing to do is email the teacher and ask questions. We are all willing to answer those questions. It's much easier to answer the question in the beginning than it is after there's a mix-up, or after maybe something didn't get turned in on time, or things like that. So please stay in constant communication with your teachers. If your kids are 7th, 8th grade or into high school, maybe prompt them to do it and have them do it. You can still look over their shoulder. By all means, you could still send an email yourself as well. But please, if you're confused by any of this stuff, if you need help, email your teachers because they will be happy to help you. And that's it. Have a great day. Look for more tutorials on this stuff. Try to get some comments from people and see if there's anything else that I didn't cover, or any other aspects in distance learning that people need help with, and I'll make some more tutorials. That's it. Have a great day.